Hi, my name is Risa Carlson. I'm on the board of the Baltimore Classical Guitar Society, and I am here today with the artistic director of the Baltimore International Guitar Competition. Of course, we all know him, Manuel Barrueco. Thank you for joining me,
Thank
Manuel.
you, Risa. Nice to be here with you.
So today we wanted to talk about specifically what's going to happen on the first day of the final round of the competition, which is happening on September 23rd at UMBC's Linehan Concert Hall, which is just a phenomenal space to perform in. It's just a beautiful space. And this day, the competitors have all required repertoire to choose from. It's either a work by Bach or a work and then a specific piece by Fernando Sor. And all of these works I think are kind of considered to be almost like testing ground pieces for aspiring guitarists. So I wanted to talk first about the first list. We have a list of works that the competitors can choose from by Johann Sebastian Bach. And those include any of the four lute suites, the Prelude, Fugue, and Allegro, or the Chaconne in D, correct?
Right.
Yes. So, and Bach, of course, is from the Baroque time period. He was born in 1685, and he wrote all of these pieces during his golden years, 1717 to 1723, when he was in Cöthen working for Prince Leopold, who was a Calvinist and didn't require him to write church music. So he just wrote all this incredible instrumental music during this time period. So Manuel, I wanted to ask you, I think for many competitors, Bach is a little fraught as a choice in a competition because there are so many opinions of, how to play Bach and what's correct and what's incorrect. And I'm curious, why Bach is chosen as the very first piece that we hear from our competitors in this competition final round.
Well, simply because it's one of the greatest composers that ever lived. I was looking at a quote. Actually, you and I had a conversation about that before, and what other musicians would say, for example, and I saw one by Pablo Casals, the cellist that was so famous for playing Bach, and he's just calling the greatest and purest moment in the music history of all time. I saw what with Brahms. He said, "Study Bach; there you will find everything."
Yeah.
So he's one of the, he could be the most important composer of all time. So I think it's important the musicians, not only guitarists but the musicians, they have to know Bach. They have to play Bach. It's highly structured music that transcends that. I think Casals also said something that he makes the divine human and the human divine. I mean,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
even though it's so structured, the result is divine, really. So I think it's imperative that a great musician needs to play Bach.
And I think Bach is known for being incredibly difficult to play on any instrument, certainly on the classical guitar. And I mean, I don't know if what you feel like, what makes it so difficult. I mean, I feel like it's so highly contrapuntal. There's so many independent lines, but yet they all meld into sort of one holistic sort of entirety. What do you think makes Bach so difficult to play?
Well, I think to memorize because it can be very dense, very dense music. I mean, very highly constructed. So it can be more difficult to memorize. And I think it's difficult in the sense that it's again going back to the structure and the construction of it. It's very rational. What more rational a form of music can you have than a fugue? Where you just have a
Yeah.
line and then it comes and then it comes again. There it is. So I think you can't you have to be an intelligent player to play Bach well. And that is something people often don't think of that, but the intelligence of a player will come through in their playing.
Yep. Yeah.
So with Bach, you need to spend time. You have to study it, and then you have to bring it to life. And that's, I think, that is the challenge, I think.
And just to make all the voices clear, all the purity of the counterpoint, it's so demanding on
It
the
is.
player, and especially I think for an instrument like guitar, which is not so easy sometimes. We don't have two different hands that are all on different keys helping us. So it makes it
Yeah.
trickier sometimes.
But I mean, Bach it's also even really structured in one line. It doesn't even have to be,
Yeah.
polyphonic music. I saw one time a performance. I think it was the Chromatic Fantasy by for the keyboard, done in the clarinet, playing the clarinet just with one voice, and it was really beautiful. So even though yes, often it can be there can be a lot of depth to it, a lot of voices. Sometimes just in the single line you'll see the structure of his composing.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a musical genius.
Yes.
Yeah. I always feel like with Bach, it's his work is there's like this epic quality to Bach. It's it's so huge and just it's larger than life. And then when we turn to the music of a composer like Sor or Mozart, or Beethoven from that time period, Haydn, it's very dramatic, that music. And we have Fernando Sor is the other required piece. The competitors will be playing the introduction and variations on a theme by Mozart, and Sor is from the classical time period. So he was this incredibly prolific Spanish guitarist and composer, born in 1778. His peers called him the Beethoven of the guitar. So, but yeah. So, and I feel like his style is so different. It's reminiscent of Mozart and Haydn. It's very elegant and balanced and also very structural, but in a different way. Can you talk a little bit about why this piece, for the first day?
Yeah. Okay. I just want to go back to the Bach, just to
Oh,
say
okay.
one thing that people may find interesting and to see his influence in the guitar world. For example, the last day will be Villalobos, and Villalobos. He wrote the Bachianas Brasileiras, which is, so it's music, basically the structures of Bach music with Brazilian themes. And even another composer it's very funny, the quote from Piazzolla that was saying, you have to play Bach, you have to learn Bach, and then play tangos.
Right.
So well, it seems like from the Baroque to the Classical there was a break, and it became less dense, more homophonic, more melody and accompaniment, and in a way simpler, but it's also extremely elegant music, and I think it's also very transparent. So it's a different kind of challenge. With Bach, often there's a lot of material you're working with. With Sor, it could be one chord for a while, So I think that is the challenge here. Also, one thing that we didn't mention also with Bach or this is also it's also an issue of style, and this is going to happen with all the composers that they're playing. I mean, do they understand the style? Does it sound Baroque when they play Bach, or does it sound classical? Or does this classical sound Baroque? So it's so I think to me, just in a couple of words, would be just elegance, transparency also. And variations was a very popular style, in the guitar of composition. And then what better material theme could you have than Mozart,
Yeah, and it was based on a theme from the Magic Flute from Mozart's opera, his very famous opera, and it was published in London in 1821. And I guess there are all these variations that explore different techniques, and what is it that makes this piece the important piece to play?
Well, I think it's important, I think first of all, it's beautiful. And then when you look deeper into the piece, you realize that it's not just a pretty face. It's a very well constructed piece. It's imaginatively, and it also, as you said, it exploits the instrument very well. It can be quite a virtuosic piece, which will also test the technique of the players, as will the Bach as well.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you would like to chat about with what will happen on this first day, this Bach and Sor day?
Yeah. Well, as with each of the days, they will play like a mini recital, like a mini performance of approximately 30-35 minutes. And on this day, it will be Bach and Sor. So it is a required piece. Bach is required, but as you also mentioned, the Bach, there are choices. We chose mostly the works that are associated with the lute, and they're known as lute works, even may not have been written for it, and that includes a four suite, includes the Prelude Fugue and Allegro, that fugue also in G minor, and the only other piece was a chaconne. We thought that it was such an important piece, that it should be there. So because it's also one of his most important works, and a popular, not in a popular sense, but in the sense that it's a beloved piece, in all of music.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today about what's going to happen on day one of the finals. And let's close by listening to an excerpt of Sor's variations on a theme by Mozart, Opus 9.